Hello, I'm Sarah from Shady and the Lamp, and today we are going to be making an empire or a conical lampshade using one of our very own lampshade making kits. So this is the style lampshade that we're going to be making. We call them empires or cones, and we're using a beautiful 100% Irish linen to make these shades. The reason that we choose Irish linen is because we feel it just gives such a beautiful soft diffusion of light. So let's get started. Let's take a look inside in the box. So we have a beautiful piece of Irish linen. We have our pre-cut PVC panel. We have our ring set. So this is what we're calling the ring. This is going to go on top. And this is our utility ring. Inside the utility ring, we have a reducer clip. So you leave the reducer clip in if you have a bayonet lamp holder, and you remove the reducer clip if you have an E27 or a screw lamp holder, but they'll fit both. We have a piece of double-sided adhesive tape. We have our tucking tool, and then lastly we have our instructions. As you can see, I've unrolled my fabric. It's often a good idea to give this another press or iron before using it, just to make sure those last few wrinkles are out of the fabric. I've also placed it on a cutting mat. This just prevents things from moving around a bit too much. So here I'm removing the release paper from the back of the PVC panel and I'm pressing it into the fabric. If I had unrolled my PVC panel yesterday and weighted it down for 24 hours, then it would be much easier to use. So that's a good idea. Unroll your PVC the day before. So we're pushing that down into the fabric. We're going to turn this over and make sure it's nice and smooth on the face. Now we're going to work on the two side seams. So on this side, it doesn't matter what side you start on, I'm going to measure a 1 centimetre overlap of fabric. So drawing my line, and that's 1 centimetre of fabric remaining on one side. Making sure everything is nice and flat and pressed. So I'm starting with the opposite side and I'm removing all of the fabric. So we leave the PVC, but we cut the fabric completely off. I'm going to do the same around the top and the bottom, or what will become the top and bottom of the shade. Remove all of that fabric, but don't remove the PVC. If there's a millimetre or two of fabric left on the edge, that's absolutely fine. So this is our 1 centimetre fabric overlap. So we're going to cut along our chalked line, leaving 1 centimetre of fabric. And then at the top of the lampshade, we're removing all of the fabric again, leaving the PVC, and again, if there's a couple of millimetres of fabric left, that's fine. So one raw edge, no fabric, and one edge with 1 centimetre overlap of fabric. So here we are cracking our PVC. We're encouraging the kiss cuts so that we can start pulling these off gently. So we're pulling these. We like to do it a little gently to ensure that we don't remove or pull any threads from the fabric with it. Repeat at the bottom. Give it a little crack or bend to encourage it. And start pulling away at that kiss cut and you'll release that edge of PVC. Nice and gently so that we don't remove any of the threads of the fabric with it. So on our seamed edge with our fabric, we're going to take our adhesive tape and we're going to put a line of tape straight down on top of the PVC. Making sure it's nice and neat and even. Press that down. Now release the plastic backing from the tape, and that's going to leave the sticky tape on the PVC. And here is when we're going to fold over our seam, nice and gently, so that we have a nice smooth seam. This will be our closing seam on our lampshade. We're going to take another piece of self-adhesive tape and we're going to place this piece on top of the fabric. Maybe 1 or 2 millimeters in from the side, but directly on top of the fabric. Give that a press to make sure it's nice and attached. And again, release the plastic backing from that tape, leaving the sticky tape on top of the fabric. Now we move on to our ring set. This is where we're going to place the same sticky tape, the same self-adhesive tape, and we're going to apply this to the outside of the metal ring. Try and centre it, don't overthink it, just so long as it is nicely applied to the outside of the ring. And what we want to do here is we want to push it in and around the metal ring, so to hug the ring, pushing it back in on itself to make sure it's nicely adhesed and adhered to the ring. Now we're going to do the same on our top ring. Place our tape, centre it as best you can, and wrap it all the way around the outside of the ring. Press that in so that it's nice and snug and nicely adhesed. So now we're going to release the plastic backing from the tape, leaving that sticky tape on the outside of our utility ring. We're going to do the same with our top ring, remove the plastic tape, leaving the nice sticky tape underneath. And we're ready to roll. So we're starting at the raw edge. We're putting our top ring first, directly onto the PVC, not onto the fabric. And that should stay still. Hopefully it will behave itself while you get your utility ring ready. And the same again, you're going to place your utility ring straight onto the edge of the PVC, not onto the fabric. And we're going to start rolling. It's okay to work from side to side, making sure that both rings stay just on that outer edge of the PVC. And you can take your time. Making sure that we're lining our PVC up, and we push the lampshade closed to seal it. And this is where we press firmly on top of the sticky tape to make sure that everything is nicely stuck together. There we have a nice neat seam at the back. Here you'll see where the two pieces of fabric are overlapping each other. So what we want to do is we want to take a small piece of the inside of the fabric, just the inside piece of fabric. The outside piece is going to be our closing seam. So we just snip off a little bit. This is again for nice smooth edges. And I push the fabric over it with my finger. I like to work in 5 to 10 centimetre increments. It's a nice idea to take your time with this. So I'm pushing the fabric with my finger first to give a nice smooth edge, and in I go with my tucking tool. So we're fairly firm with the tucking tool. You want to push all of the fabric, all of the threads in behind the metal ring. If you hear cracking and snapping, that's absolutely fine. This is what we want. It shows that the fabric is being forced in behind the ring. We now come up to a strut. So we're going to snip the fabric only directly in front of the strut, and we're going to fold the two pieces of fabric behind it. Push in again with my finger, and then in I go again with the tucking tool, tucking all of that fabric in behind the metal ring. Keep going, making sure we have nice smooth edges, pushing that fabric in. Tucking takes time, that's okay. Again, we're at another strut. So here's where we cut the fabric, just the fabric, fold the fabric in and around the strut, and we continue to tuck. Here we're approaching the end, so we want to continue tucking, and we're going to pull that closing piece of fabric over nice and tight and push that in behind the rest of the fabric. So this is why we removed that inner piece of fabric earlier, to make sure that this is a nice flush closed seam. Beautiful, so we're turning around and we are repeating on what is now the top of your lampshade. We're going to remove a small section, little square or triangle of that inner piece of fabric to make sure that we have our nice smooth closing edge. Again, I push the fabric over with my fingers, working 5 to 10 centimetres at a time, and I come in with my tucking tool and I repeat, tucking all of the fabric, all of the thread in behind that metal ring. If you find that your tucking tool is getting a little bit weak or starting to bend, it's often a good idea to snip a piece of it off, and that helps to strengthen it and makes it easier to work with again. Yeah, there we have it again, another little bend, so I'm going to cut that off. Anything that makes life just that little bit easier, and we're going to push this in. Here's a loose thread. So we always cut our threads, we never pull them. And if you can, leave it on the fabric and tuck it in. Another one, give that a snip. And tuck those in behind the metal ring set. I'm careful where I place my hands. The middle of the lampshade is now the weakest point, so you can rest your hands on the metal rings, but it's important to not put too much pressure on the middle of the lampshade. We continue to tuck every piece of thread, all that fabric. And here we are coming up to our closing seam. And the same as before, pull that over and press the fabric in, a nice neat edge. So pull that over with one hand and then you're going to press it in with your tucking tool. Every last piece of thread. Excellent. This is looking really good. I'm very happy. So there we have it, your very own beautifully made Irish linen lampshade. I really hope you enjoyed the learning experience with us today, and if you would like to join us again for any of our future classes, we would love to see you there. Thank you so much.